Hello, and welcome to the Hello Well with Danielle podcast, your weekly mental vacation from the daily grind for busy women who just need a moment to pause, breathe, and woosah. I'm your host, Danielle Washington, and today we are diving into a topic that's often overlooked, but it's like hella important and it's hella impactful. And I feel like it's one of the most underrated forms of stress that we never really kind of put a name to, and that's time stress. Today we're going to be exploring like what exactly is time stress, like how is it manifesting in our lives, and like particularly why is it a challenge for women and the significant impact that it has on our health, our relationships, our work-life balance, and you name it, it has an impact on it. So we'll be discussing all things related to time stress and really trying to get to the bottom of this to understand why you really need to be paying attention to this. Like, not just like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. No, this is something you really need to be paying attention to because this honestly is a silent killer for many women. But before we get started, I always like to do some breathing exercises. And today I want to do something different. I was doing this with my parents. I was like, oh, I thought this would be really good for everyone, especially for today's topic. So we're going to do what's called left nostril breathing. And so you're going to actually just breathe out of your left nostril. You can do this by taking your right hand. I like to use my right hand. I use my thumb, kind of have my fingers pointed up towards my forehead and seal off my right nostril. And you just inhale deeply as much as you can, and then exhaling all the air out. And this breathing exercise is great for helping to cool down your nervous system. It helps kind of go in that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system mentality. It helps you cool down. It helps you to de-stress. It helps you to calm the nerves. There's so many different things that helps lower your blood pressure. This is one of the best breaths if you are feeling like stressed out. I encourage you to try left nostril breathing. Again, you're going to take the thumb of your right hand, close off the right nostrils. I like to keep my palm open so my fingers are pointing upwards. Just going to inhale deeply and exhale. Inhale deeply and exhale. And one last time, taking the deepest breath you've taken all day and exhaling all the air out, releasing the right nostril and breathing through both nostrils. Inhaling real quick and exhaling. And just take a moment to see how that feels for you. See if you notice any difference. I really encourage you to incorporate this breathing exercise into your weekly routine, especially if you are feeling stressed out, especially if you are dealing with time stress. So what exactly is time stress? Time stress, the way I like to think about it, time stress is the feeling of constantly being rushed, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like there's a lack of time. You're taking on a bunch of different tasks that all need to be completed within a limited time, which feels stressful. It's that relentless pressure of not having enough hours in the day, like wishing you had a pause button, knowing that unfortunately no one has created one yet. That's what I deem as time stress. Time stress can affect men and women, but I feel like it particularly stresses out women and it affects them because we're constantly juggling things. We have all these multiple roles. We're the mom, we're the daughter, we're the aunt, we're the whatever. We're focusing on their career. We're focusing in on our family. We're focusing on household responsibilities, personal commitments. We got sorority meetings. We got the PTA. We have all these other things that we do on top of it. If you're on this healing journey, you're trying to add in the self-care. You're trying to maybe go to the spa. You're trying to go to the gym. We do so much as women, and we have all these different roles and responsibilities that we play that adds to the layer of complexity in managing our time effectively. It's not like we're bad at time management. I don't think that's the case. I mean, maybe some of us are, but I don't think that's the fundamental problem. I think the fundamental problem is there's so much going on and we're juggling so much that it's when this time stress starts happening. It's when you're feeling like, I just can't do it all. But I'm trying to do it all because I'm strong. I should be able to do it all. And on the flip side of that, we're comparing ourselves to other people who on social media only show the good side of things. So it's like, if they're able to do this, why can't I? Which causes us even more stress because we're seeing other people do it. At least we think it's perceived that they're doing it. And we're stressing ourselves out even more. Like, time stress is a silent killer. You'll hear me say that several times because I want you to get it. Like, according to, I was looking up some studies because I was like, let me come with some facts. According to a study in 2019, there was a Gallup poll that said 60% of women in the U.S. reported feeling stressed most of the time or frequently about time. And this is like hella more than their counterparts. And I'm curious, I didn't see any information about it, but I'm curious about what that number is for women of color. And specifically, I'm curious about Black women because we are constantly doing the most. And I think the other part of time stress that I didn't really talk about is the fact that this need to feel productive, this need to feel like if we stop and rest, what does that say about us? Are we weak? Are we lazy? We have this feeling like we always have to be doing, even when we know we need the rest. And it's constantly do, as if someone has a gun to our head saying, if you stop working, if you stop being productive, you're going to die. When in reality, it's the opposite. Like, there was another study I saw that published in, I don't know, some kind of journal. I think it was Journal of Occupational Health Psychology. And that showed that time stress is linked to higher levels of cortisol. That's kind of the situation that gives you that belly fat. That's what slows down your metabolism and a lot of other things that are going on. That is also known as AKA the stress hormone, which can lead to numerous health issues, including heart disease and chronic fatigue, and as I mentioned, the belly fat. But it also goes deeper than that. The impact of time stress can cause people to feel anxiety and burnt out, that constant pressure. Women feel like they are perpetually on the edge. They're on the edge of losing that last nerve, or they just like, one last thing is going to put me over. That inability to relax because there's always something that needs to be done. There's never a time where it's like, oh, wait, my checklist is done, because what we'll do is we'll create another checklist. When that checklist is done, we'll create another checklist because we have to keep going. And we don't have to keep going, but there's this perception that we have to keep going, which leads to burnout. Time stress can also lead to depression. Like, prolonged time stress can have you feeling like you're never catching up. Like you're on this merry-go-round and things keep spinning and you can't stop. And it's this feeling of being overwhelmed with everything that's going on with your life that can really lead to a sense of hopelessness. Time stress can lead to sleep disorders. Like, the stress of never having enough time can interfere with your sleep. It leads to insomnia, poor sleep quality, which leads to other things, which can lead to depression, can lead to brain fog. Like I remember doing an exam, like I thought literally I was losing my mind. Like I couldn't put sentences together. I just wasn't functioning. And so I did this extensive testing only to find out I was sleep deprived, which felt crazy, but that is part of the impact of time stress. Time stress can also lead to stuff like headaches and muscle tension, physical pain. It can lead to that pain in your neck and your shoulders that you're often feeling. A lot of that is part of time stress. And there's so many other conditions like chronic time stress can cause so many different things. I mentioned before heart disease, but it also can cause digestive problems. Like it can cause problems with your work-life balance. Like time stress disrupts everything. It disrupts like your balance between your work, your family, your personal life. And as women, we often feel like we're failing in one area because we couldn't keep up. Not just keeping up with someone else, but we can't keep up with what we said we wanted to do. We feel like we can't keep up with all the roles and responsibilities that weigh heavy on our shoulders. And what's the result of that? It's this major imbalance that can lead to strained relationships. And what's comical is that it actually leads to being less productive. We're out here trying to do the most because we're trying to be so productive and do all these things. But when you are feeling the impacts of time stress, when you're not allowing yourself to get the rest you need, when you are not allowing yourself to pause from all the different things of being busy, it actually makes it so you are less productive. And this also leads to a lack of personal fulfillment. So why is time stress what I consider the true silent killer? I think it's a true silent killer because it's so under the radar. Like time stress is not even considered a problem because it's so normal. It's just so ingrained in our lives to be busy or to feel like you don't have enough time that people are like, oh, this is normal. I'm like everyone else. We have normalized feeling time stress. We have normalized feeling that anxiety of, I can't catch up. I don't have enough time. I have all these things on my plate. Unlike other forms of stress, it can be harder to recognize because it's not seen as something wrong. It's just seen as a normal part of life. And it's not normal. We were not meant to live this way. There are so many long-term health implications about dealing with like constant time stress. The constant activation of stress alone in our body shows up in so many different ways. That's how we get high blood pressure. That's how we get heart disease. That's how we get overeating. That's how we get diabetes. That's how we get strokes. That's how we die. Like, I need you to understand this ain't something to be ignoring anymore. This is crucial for every single woman who is listening to this podcast. It's time for us to start addressing time stress. It's time for us to stop acting like this is normal and recognizing this as a serious problem. Ignoring it can lead to so many things that we've already talked about. I talked about a lot of physical, but also emotional, energetically, and mentally. It can lead to us feeling totally jacked up, feeling stuck, feeling confused, feeling like I just can't do it anymore. Ultimately affecting every aspect of our life. So today, I hope that you understood a little bit more about time stress, about what it is, how it is uniquely affecting women, and its impact on your life and you're just in the life of those around you, because when you aren't functioning, let me be clear, the people around you who you help, who rely on you, aren't functioning either. So I encourage you to take a moment to evaluate your own life and see where time stress might be creeping in and doing its thing all quietly. I mean, all I can do is beg you, do not ignore it anymore. It's time to take steps to manage it. Well, that's what I got for you today. And it's comical. I say all this from someone who is not judging or preaching at you, because me doing this podcast right now at 1:30 in the morning is me not managing my time stress, because I felt like I needed to be productive. I'm like, well, I'm up, might as well do a podcast episode at this hour instead of getting the sleep that I need, that I didn't get last night. And I'm still struggling with it. So why are there no tips? Because I'm still struggling with it. I have some things I've been working on, and eventually I'm going to keep testing them out, and then I will give you what I think has been working for me. But right now, this podcast episode on this under radar stressor that's hurting a lot of us mentally, physically, energetically, and in all aspects of our life is something I'm dealing with too. So you're not alone. You're not alone. But in our next episode, I'm going to be talking about how we can go about living beyond our roles and responsibilities. So I really encourage you to stay tuned, check into that one. But in the meantime, remember that left nostril breathing, and tell a friend about this podcast episode. You have a girlfriend who's like really stressed out or needs some like a mental reset, tell her about this podcast, and then also tell her to go to my website, hellowellwithdanielle.com. I've created a 5-minute meditation. I have longer meditations that you can find on older podcast episodes. You can find it in other places on YouTube. But this 5-minute mental reset that I created that's on my website is for busy women who don't have the time or don't feel like they have the time. Because time, again, this lack of time is often perceived and not necessarily real, which is a whole other ballgame. So if you're interested in getting something that will kind of help you reset the mind, maybe quiet the mind down, you can do this while you're doing left nostril breathing. Go to the website, and I just want you to do better. I want us to feel free. I want us to feel free. And if there's anything I can do to kind of help you out on this journey, feel free to contact me. Send me a message if you have any thoughts or questions. You can find me on social media or through my website. But until next time, take care, and remember, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself the way you're kind to everyone else. I'll talk to you then. Ciao.